In Kenya, there's a national day dedicated to planting trees to celebrating the environment. But for thousands of people living right next to one of Africa's largest landfills, every single day is a battle against pollution. What we're looking at here is really a tale of two Kenyas, and it reveals a powerful truth about the gap between our hopes and the reality on the ground.
In this quote, wow, it just nails it, doesn't it? Mazingira Day is all about Kenya's environmental dreams. But places like Korogocho, well, that's the harsh, unavoidable reality. And understanding that gap is really the key to this whole story. All right, so let's really dig into this contrast. What does that aspiration actually look like? And what does the day-to-day reality feel like for so many?
And here it is, laid out plain as day. On one hand, you have October 10th, Mazingira Day. The whole country is focused on positive action, planting seedlings, cleaning up streets, feeling that national pride. But then, for the folks in Korogocho, every other day is a struggle against this constant, relentless pollution, contaminated water, and air that's just thick with toxic smoke. Two completely different worlds.
The name itself, Korogocho, tells you so much. It literally means crowded shoulder to shoulder. You've got tens of thousands of people packed into less than a square kilometer. And it's right next to Nairobi's modern, bustling downtown. When you have that many people packed so tightly, every single environmental problem gets turned up to 11. Now, a situation like this doesn't just happen. It's the direct result of what you could call a geography of neglect, where your zip code, your location, basically determines your environmental fate. And right at the heart of this neglect, you'll find Korogocho's next-door neighbor, the Dandora dump site. And we're not just talking about a landfill here. This thing is a sprawling mountain of refuse. It's the final stop for a huge chunk of Nairobi's garbage, and it just looms over the entire community. I mean, the scale here is just staggering. 2,000 tons of new waste gets dumped here every single day. To put that into perspective, that's like the weight of 300 elephants worth of garbage, arriving every 24 hours. It's an absolutely unending stream, piling up right on people's doorsteps. And one of the most dangerous threats is one you can't even see. The air itself is toxic. Waste is constantly being burned, releasing all this particulate matter that sends pollution levels through the roof, often way, way beyond what the World Health Organization considers safe. And this isn't just some number on a chart. That's a direct attack on the health of every single person living there every single day. And the danger isn't just in the air. Nope, it seeps into everything. It's in the water, which is often full of bacteria and heavy metals. It's in the floods that wash raw sewage and garbage right through people's homes. And it's even in the soil, where heavy metals from the dump get into the small vegetable gardens people depend on, silently poisoning the food chain from the ground up. But here's the thing. This isn't just a story of despair. Not at all. Because in the face of all of this, the community is fighting back with some absolutely incredible resilience. And you see this perfectly with a group called the WAKULIMA Youth Group. These are young people who just decided they weren't going to wait around for help to arrive. They took matters into their own hands, proving that environmentalism can and does take root in even the most difficult places. And what they did was so simple, but so incredibly effective. They just started by cleaning up their own immediate surroundings. Then they started planting things just to bring some green and some beauty back to the area. And from there, they started growing their own vegetables, creating these amazing urban gardens that are a source of both food and pride for the whole community. I mean, what the WAKULIMA Youth Group is doing is just incredible. But it also makes you ask a bigger question. Can community action on its own really solve a problem this big, this systemic? How do we get beyond the symbolism of just one single day of celebration? So, okay, the Mazingira Day cleanups are over, the fancy photos are taken, the ceremonial trees are in the ground, but what happens on October 11th? Does this system that created a place like the Dandora dump site in the first place, does any of that actually change? Well, the tough answer, for now, is not much. When you zoom out and look at the big picture for the whole country, you see the real root of the problem. More than half of all the solid waste in Kenya's cities is never even collected. It just piles up in open spaces, on riverbanks, and ultimately in places like Dandora. This is a massive systemic failure, and it's not something local volunteers can fix on their own. And this is where the experts come in, from places like the Kenya Institute for Public Policy Research and Analysis, or KIPRA. They basically say, look, these one-day campaigns are great for awareness, but they're not a solution. To actually be effective, these efforts have to become year-round, fully funded programs for waste management and infrastructure.
So, if these one-day events aren't the long-term answer, what is? What does a real sustainable future actually look like? Well, it's a path that has to move from symbolic gestures to deep structural change. This timeline kind of maps out the journey. Right now, we're here with these symbolic actions. The next big step has to be building real structural support. That means properly funding waste management, and it means creating safe, formal jobs for the thousands of informal recyclers who are already doing so much of this work. But the end goal, the real destination, is social justice, upgrading settlements like Korogocho with proper sanitation, clean water, and secure land rights so people are empowered to protect their own environment.
And, in the end, it really does all come back to those little seedlings planted on Mazingira Day. They're more than just trees. They really are promises. They represent the hope that one day Kenya's green aspirations won't just be for a single day on the calendar, but will become a permanent, lived reality for the people of Korogocho and all the communities like it. That's the real journey here, from one day of action to a lifetime of environmental justice.